Hi guys, happy Friday, March 27th, 2020. So I don't know if you guys saw him yesterday, but this is my special bear. I know a lot of you guys have stuffed animals, and I've had him for a really long time. Someone gave him to me as a gift when I first started teaching, so 22 years ago. And I love him. I keep him in my bedroom. And so I thought I'd put him in this little basket. I put in some colored bulbs, just kind of jazz it up a little. And today, I want to thank Cheyenne for our story. And guess what? This is a Patricia Polacco story called The Bee Tree. So I took this out of Cheyenne's book box. So we're going to read this by Stillwater Warriors. I wore my Stillwater Warriors shirt this morning. Go Stillwater, right? It's Friday's usually dress down day for teachers, so I thought I'd wear my... We always wear something Stillwatery, so I thought I'd wear my Stillwater t-shirt. All right, The Bee Tree by Patricia Polacco. Let me get in position. I'm tired of reading, Grandpa, Mary Ellen sighed. I'd rather be outdoors running and playing. So you don't feel like reading, eh? Feel like running, do you? Then I expect this is just the right time to find a bee tree, he said, taking down a jar and putting on his lucky hat. What's a bee tree, Grandpa? Mary Ellen asked. Well, it's where the bees make their home. It's where they keep the honey, the sweetest in the land, Gramps chirped excitedly. But we already have honey, Grandpa, Mary Ellen said. Ah, but not honey like this, her grandpa answered with a wink. Mary Ellen and her grandpa put on their coats and went outdoors. They walked down past the hollyhocks to the garden and found bees gathering pollen from the flowers. Her grandpa carefully trapped some in the glass jar, making sure not to hurt them. When he was sure that he had enough, he smiled and leaned close to Mary Ellen. They'll take the pollen back to the hive to make it into honey, and we'll be right behind them. Then he slowly loosened the lid of the jar and let one single bee escape. It stayed on the mouth of the jar for a moment, flew straight up, then buzzed toward the cornfield. Quick now, run! Grandpa called out as he began to chase the bee. Kind of cool. Have you ever chased bees or caught anything in a jar? I know when I was young, I used to catch lightning bugs in the jar so that they could light up. Just then, Mrs. Gavlock from down the creekway was walking by. She was walking baby Sylvester in his carriage. Mary Ellen and her grandpa ran by them. We're off to find a bee tree today, they shouted. I haven't done that since I was a girl, Mrs. Gavlock said excitedly. May I come too? Grandpa motioned her to follow, and the three of them were off and running with baby Sylvester as he laughed out loud as his carriage bumped and bounced through the rows of corn. Honk went a goose as it waddled after them. Oh, so now they have some helpers with them. As they came from the cornfield and crossed Dietz Junction, Einar Tumblevold came around the bend on his squeaky old bike. Where y'all going in such a hurry? He asked. A bee tree, Mary Ellen puffed as the foursome scurried by. Chasing a bee to its tree? This I would like to do, he said as he stood up and pedaled faster. The wheels of his bike went tweedle, tweedle, squeak. Their boots slapped the ground. The buggy pitched and swayed, and the goose honked as they ran after that bee. The bee swooped down, stopped, held in midair, then circled past them and headed straight for the St. Joe River. There they go. Olav Lughagen, while strolling on a nearby shore with the charming Herman sisters, Petra and Dorma, looked up and noticed the commotion coming toward them. "Where y'all going?" he called out. "To a bee tree we are going," Einar Tundelvold puffed as he pedaled by. "Can we come too?" the two lovely ladies pleaded. "Fast, you'll have to run," Einar said. "We don't care, let's go," the three shouted as they raced after him. Slap, bunk, honk, tweedle, tweedle, squeak, thump, they all went as they sped down the road after that bee. Now this would be fun to do, as long as everyone kept their distance, right? Klondike! Bertha Fitchworth, just back from an expedition in the Yukon, had car trouble next to the road. She looked up just in time to see everybody running by. "You say you're after a bee tree?" she shrieked. "Zounds! That won't be easy, but Eureka! What an adventure!" She sprinted along behind them. The bee dipped and soared as it made its way out of sight. Can you see the bee anywhere in the picture? Take a look. It looks like they're pointing over here, but I don't see it. Oh, yes we do. Look at. There it is. Goodness, I can't get myself where you guys can see. Here we go. But Grandpa carefully let another out, and the chase was on again. The noisy, merry bunch galloped up over Bird Talk Fella Ridge, only to run smack dab into Fiduciary Longdrop's herd of goats. The goats bleated and bucked as the people clambered through them. "What ho!" Fiduciary called out. "You're gonna scare me goats!" "A bee tree!" a voice called back. With that, Fiduciary tooted his flute, and he and his flock joined the chase. "Bounding billies, this will be great," he said on a dead run. There's the bee. Three traveling musicians looked up just in time to see a thundering stampede of goats, buggies, people, and bikes coming straight for them. "Why are they all running, Pa?" one of the boys asked his father. "We're after the bee," Grandpa said, pointing at the small dot in the sky. "It's leading us to a bee tree," Mary Ellen wailed as she streaked by them. "Come along, Klondike," Bertha chortled as she huffed past. Slap, bump, bleat, honk, tweedle, tweedle, squeak, thump, they went as they ran. Hooves clattered, rows of corn were parted. Nothing really mattered but chasing that bee. They ran through Grainer's Bluff and into Bishop's Meadow, around Dead Man's Tree, and then to Bird Talk Hollow. Still chasing the bee. There should be two bees, right? I see one. As they ran down the hollow, the bee took blinding speed and disappeared from their sight. They all stopped to catch their breath just in front of Dunk's woods. Grandpa handed the jar with the last bee in it to Mary Ellen, and she let it out. Sure enough, it flew straight and low, right into Dunk's woods. Look at them all looking at that bee. "It's the bee tree!" "It is the bee tree," Grandpa whispered. "That's where the honey will be. But we'll need plenty of smoke." What do you think they need the smoke for? What might you need smoke for? Like the smoke from the fire? Think about what they might use that for. Everyone set about to build a smoke fire from twigs and damp leaves. When the smoke had quieted the bees, Grandpa balanced on Einar's bicycle and reached into the tree. As he pulled out small pieces of honeycomb, he dropped them into some of baby Sylvester's spare clean diaper. Ew! That Bertha was holding. Mary Ellen tied them into neat little bundles, and Mr. Ludhagen put them into the baby carriage. The musicians played merrily as the Herman sisters danced. They were clean diapers, boys and girls. So the smoke was to smoke the bees out so that they didn't get stung when Grandpa was putting his hand in to get out the honeycomb. Grandpa invited everyone back to the house for baking powder biscuits, fresh brewed tea, and of course, the honey. There was music, dancing, tall tales, and raucous laughter as they all buzzed about in the sweet adventure of that day. There they are, eating the honey is delicious. Grandpa took Mary Ellen inside away from the crowd. Now, child, I'm going to show you what my father showed me and his father before him, he said to her. He spooned the honey onto the cover of one of her books. Taste, he said, almost in a whisper. Mary Ellen savored the honey on her book. There is such sweetness inside of that book, too, he said. Such things, adventure, knowledge, and wisdom. But these things do not come easily. You have to pursue them. Just like we ran after the bees to find their tree, you must also chase these things through the pages of a book. Then he smiled and hugged her. So what do you think Grandpa's message was? He was making a connection between chasing the bee and her reading, right? Because she said she didn't like to read. So chasing the bee was a lot of work, right? You had to put some effort into it. Even though sometimes you might not want to, the reward is so great in the end. And so he's kind of saying the same thing. If you put the effort into it, you can learn all this cool stuff from books. Just look at the books we've been reading and the adventures. From that day on, Mary Ellen never again complained about her reading. She found it to be every bit as exciting as a wild chase through the Michigan countryside, and as sweet as the honey from a bee tree. What a great story with a great message, boys and girls, that you got to keep working hard, right? So Cheyenne, thank you so much. That was such a great book. I love Patricia Polacco and love her books. And she writes some great ones. There's a whole bunch more in our classroom when we go back that you can take out that I have of hers that I think you'll really enjoy. So this got me thinking of a great activity for today. And if you can't do it today, you can work on it next week. So this is what we came up with. I said, pretend you're on that adventure. Okay? Just like Grandpa was with his granddaughter. Pretend you're on that adventure and you find a tree with something special hidden inside. It doesn't have to be honey. It can be anything you think of. So Miss Wantuck, I know in her head she's thinking of a tree filled with chocolate, of course. I want you to come up with a little story about that tree using your somebody wanted but so then outline. We've done these at school, remember? It looks just like this, a somebody wanted but so then, and let me give you a little idea. I was walking through the woods with my friend, and we came upon this really cool tree. We both wanted to know what was inside. Okay, there's my somebody, my friend and I. Okay, what did we want? We wanted to find out what was inside this tree. We weren't sure, though, if anything was protecting this tree. If we stuck our hand inside, would we get hurt? So there's my but we didn't know what was guarding the tree. We weren't sure what we were going to do, okay? So we carefully peeked inside the tree to see the delicious, gooey, melted chocolate flowing all throughout the branches. We carefully put our fingers in for just a little taste. Then, all of a sudden, from behind the tree, came a huge bear growling at us. He must have been protecting the tree. We scooped some chocolate into our hand and started running as fast as we could until we got back to the house, where we felt safe, but we always knew we'd be able to go back to that tree sometime. All right, so Miss Wantuck did the somebody wanted but so. The somebody was my friend and I wanted to find out what was in that tree, but we weren't sure if anything was protecting it. So we carefully went up, looked inside, peeked our fingers in and tasted. Then all of a sudden a big bear came out and started chasing us, so we ran all the way home. Somebody wanted but so. So I want to hear the adventure of your special tree and what you found inside. Okay, you can type it in an email to me. You can write it out on paper and then take a picture and send it to me. But I'd really love to see this from all you boys and girls. Okay? All right, you have a happy weekend. We are Stillwater, right? We're strong. Look for my next story on Monday, and I'll be getting back to you guys on what we're going to be doing and some activities that are going to be have-tos. All right, right now you're doing some practice stuff. We are going to do some have-tos that you'll have to show me and hand in by the computer, okay? All right, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Bye, my loves.